So I got rejected, and it did not feel like a gut punch. It did not break me. It did not send me into the depths of despair. And before I get into the patterns and the lessons learned, I do want to share a little bit of the story of how me and the last guy that I dated got to the point of me being rejected, without giving too many personal details and telling every little single detail, like, which I have a habit of doing. And then also, I don't know who all over here watching, and people be weird. People be real weird. I have been learning that over the past year. Like, folks be trying to get all your business and they be weird about it. But anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to do that. This is new for me, so I'm gonna try to do it without doing all of that. But anyway, so the guy that I last dated is a guy that I have been knowing for years. And for me, I'm just speaking for myself. I can't speak on his behalf. But over the last 7 years, it's like it's always been some level of attraction there. But I never acted on it because I wasn't sure if he felt the same. And then with this specific situation, I didn't know if I want to risk going there either. So I really didn't say nothing. Fast forward to this year, I said, let me just get a little bold and try it. So I did what I thought was a little bit of flirting, but I don't know if he picked up on it, because he reached out for his own reason and not because of anything I did, as far as I can understand from what he told me. But anyway, even though I never went there with him like romantically over the past years, I, did share some personal details about myself in casual conversation, like me liking libraries. So when he finally did reach out and say something to me, that was one of the things he mentioned. He's like, I just wanted to reach out to you and ask you out. He's like, I thought about you. I was in this library and I thought about you because I remember that you said you like libraries. And I was like, oh, he thought about here. But anyway, so needless to say, I had to call up all my homegirls and tell them that. So that got me and all my homegirls excited. But anyway, so a week after that, we went on our first date, and it was kind of awkward for me because I didn't know what to expect because of the type of person I feel like he is. I don't know how he would describe himself, but me on the outside looking in, how I view him, I see him as a person of high integrity, very good character, real about his business, real about, him, like he don't play no games. So that's how I view him. So that's why the first date was kind of awkward, because I didn't know like how playful or how lax I could be with him, if that makes sense. So I was just trying to feel him out, and it was kind of awkward. And then and honestly, it was kind of awkward, but at the same time, it was kind of, what's the word? It was kind of, I don't want to say easy. That's not the word I'm looking for, but for lack of a better word at this moment, I'll just say easy, because the way I see him or view him is kind of like the way some people in my family have described me, and also kind of the way I see myself to a certain extent, but he would be that way times 10, if that makes sense. Like, well, you would have to really, really know me to know what I'm talking about. And y'all might not know me like that, but anyway, I see him as a person with high integrity, good character, all those good things. Like, yeah, not perfect, but if it was a standard that was close, he would be it, in my opinion. So, and then another thing about that is he also was all like, except for one thing, maybe two, never got to see if the second thing was in alignment to what I was praying for. But outside of that one obvious thing, he was almost everything that I had prayed and asked God for in a partner if I am to be coupled with somebody. So that was another thing that I was excited for. But anyway, carry on. So after the first day, it went good. We went on the second day. I think we went on the first 3 or 4 weeks. We went on like 2 dates a week. And I was like, oh my goodness, I ain't used to this. I ain't like this. It was a breath of fresh air for me. It was different because for the most part, he did what he said he was going to do. He was a man of his word, which is the high integrity part, which is what I like. And I thoroughly appreciate it. So yeah, like, and I wasn't tired. I wasn't like, of course I had a lot of stuff to do, but I didn't feel inconvenienced by having a lot on my plate and still making time to go out with him more than I would usually go out with anybody else. Like, that was something else I was taking note of and that I like too. Like, okay, this is a sacrifice I'm willing to make in my business because I'm interested to see where this can go. And I don't like the saying of checking boxes because it's just so, I don't know. That's another topic for another day. But for, again, lack of a better term, I would say he was checking all the boxes with that too. So this is why I was, not trying to be so cautious that I was bringing past experiences into this situation, but just cautious enough to make sure I was watching for red flags, but then also not self-sabotaging because of how I viewed him. Because in the past, if I viewed a man to have this good character and stuff like that, I would kind of in a way feel like that was too good for me and then end up sabotaging it in a way. And I'm going to talk about it in a separate video. But anyway, talking about the rejection in this one. So we go on, and then after like the third or fourth week, it started getting down to like once a week because he has a kid who he spends time with and doing stuff with. And then, what else? And then we just kept having things, and I had some family stuff that was coming up too. So we just kept having family stuff to come up to where it was like in once a week instead of twice. But I was like, okay, cool. But when we started talking on the phone more, at first we wasn't, which was kind of like an issue for me. Even though I'm not a big phone person, but if I like a guy, I do like to be on the phone with them. Like, even if just sharing like small little parts of my day, I like doing that with somebody that I'm truly interested in. So it bothered me, but I didn't really say nothing about it because I was just like, I don't know what his thing is. And then I know he did mention to me about a past situation of his where sometimes he wouldn't be on the phone for more than 15 minutes with somebody he dated in the past. So I was just like, okay, that ain't his thing. And I'm cool with that because I go in and out of my moods or where I can go without talking or whatever. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I want to be on the phone with him, but I don't want to put that type of pressure on him. We still get to know each other. Let's feel each other out. Whatever. But then eventually we did start talking on the phone more, and everything seemed to be going good. Outside of me still keeping things in my head that I probably should have verbally expressed. And then towards the end, and this was only, it seemed so much longer, but it was only like a month and a half, almost 2 months of us dating. But anyway, everything's, even up until, right before the day of him, a few days before, he called and gave me that good, bad news because I wasn't expecting it to end good because I really appreciate this experience. So, yeah, and he was like, the last time we was in person with each other before he told me that, he don't think that I'm his person. He was like, I think we're really getting to know each other. And in my head, I was thinking, I think so too, which was probably a moment I should have said it out loud. But anyway, so we was at his house, and he was saying that when I was on my way home. He stays like an hour and a half with traffic 2 hours away. So it was late. He did invite me to stay, but I didn't want to stay. And it was no pressure for, giving out no yummy or nothing like that either. But yeah, so that was the last time in person. I'm thinking, okay, this is going good. And I really wanted to have a conversation with him because he wanted to be exclusive. He called himself my boyfriend. I was like, oh, okay, we need to have a conversation about this. But the night that I wanted to have a conversation, he had his son, and it was kind of late, and I was tired. And anytime I want to have a conversation about what his expectations of me would be as his girlfriend, and then also have the sex conversation. I told him, I said, I want to have a talk. I didn't tell him about what, but anyway, so he's like, now I'm curious. I don't want you to leave me hanging. I make time for you. And I was just like, oh, it ain't nothing dire. And I didn't want to have, even though he was open to having a conversation, in that moment, I was too tired. And when I'm having a conversation where I really want to listen to what somebody is saying, so I can, if I decide that it's something that I can provide to them, then I've listened. So that way I can give them what they asked for, if it is something that I can provide. But then I also listen to see if it's something that, oh, well, I can't do that for you, so maybe this ain't a good fit, whatever. So that's why I didn't want to have the conversation, because I really wanted to be able to listen to what his response was going to be, so I could decide whether I can give this to you or whether I can't give this to you. And then also I wanted to have the sex conversation. So a few days go by. We haven't had a conversation, but I'm still thinking about it. I go on a trip to New Orleans. My daughter booked me, my mom, and her daughter, a trip to Keith Lee's family day. I think I want to do a video about that too. But anyway, so we was on the phone. We talked while there one night, and he sounded like he was excited to hear from me. He even told me, thank you for calling me. So at this point, I'm thinking everything's still good. I didn't see it coming. The next morning, I know he usually texts me a good morning text. He didn't. I didn't really think nothing of it because his friend was in town. And I know that the time when his parents was in town, like, I didn't really hear from him that much. I don't think we talked on the phone at all during that time. And he didn't text as much, but I was like, okay, he's with his family, so I know, he's entertaining them or whatever. His parents were in town, so his homeboy was in town this time. So I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, okay, he didn't text me good morning, but I know him and his friend probably had a late night. They probably gonna have a late morning or whatever. They hanging out. It's cool. And then I was with my family, so I ain't think nothing of it. So, but the day keep going by, I was like, dang, I ain't heard nothing from him. And I was like, this is not usual. This is not the same. So, but I was driving on my way back, so I didn't really text. I was just thinking about it, but I didn't text him because I was driving back from Louisiana. But then when I stopped to get gas, I did shoot him a text. I was like, hey, how's your day been? Crickets. The next day, still no good morning text. Crickets. Nothing. And I was like, this is not like him. And so I started getting worried. I'm thinking the worst case scenario. I'm thinking he was in an accident, something that happened to him. He's in a hospital or something. But that was not it. He was just not talking to me. But so I called to see if his phone was on. It wrong. Left him a message. I was like, hey, I hadn't heard from you. I'm starting to get worried. I hope you're okay. Still didn't hear from him for a few hours later. Then he finally called me. No, he didn't even call me. He texted me. He was like, hey, I've been out. I'm watching a game right now, but I'll call you after it goes off. I was like, something felt weird, but I was like, okay. So he called me. I lay down and take a nap. I said, let me just take a nap so I won't continue to spiral. So when I woke up, he did, a little bit after I woke up, he called me. And at first the conversation started off as usual, but then I could tell he was holding back. So I just got real quiet. I said, I'm not going to make him say it. I know he got something to say, so I'll just wait till he feel comfortable enough to say it. And then he said, I forget how it started off. because I had kind of started zoning out because I knew what was coming. And then I do remember coming back enough to hear him say, "Yeah, I don't think you're my person." And I was like, "Okay, um, that's fine." He's like, I'm sorry." I was like, "No, don't apologize. Like, I appreciate you for telling me sooner than later. Not dragging me along and then you feeling this way. Like, I appreciate it." And he started saying something, and my mind was like going all over the place. Like, when did this happen? How did this happen? Like, I'm all in my head while he was saying, I don't even remember exactly what he said, but I do remember it getting quiet. And I said, "Well, I'm not going to hold you." I said, "You said what you had to say." I think he said he was sorry again. And I said, I thanked him again. And then we got off the phone. And then I text my homegirl. I said, "Well, I found out why I wasn't getting a response." And then, so I stopped. I paused. I let myself to soak it all in. Got my ego in check because I got slightly a little pissed because I didn't see this coming. It was like 2 days ago. Everything was good. We was talking. It was fine. But I was like, okay, it's fine, whatever. And I texted him that, just to see if it wasn't, something on my part that we could have just communicated about. So I asked him, I said, "Was it something that I did, or is it really just like a compatibility preference type thing?" And then he was like, "No, it was nothing that you did at all. It's just a compatibility thing." He said, "I don't feel the compatibility," which I felt was an interesting choice of words because compatibility isn't something that you feel. Compatibility is something about values, morals, alignments, and stuff like that. It's not something that like you feel, but well, in my opinion. So I just thought it was an interesting choice of words, but I decided that I wasn't gonna push too hard. I was like, okay, because I think it was in that moment that I realized that we were not aligned, because I feel like if it was something that I did or something that he could have came to me and said, "I've been noticing this. I don't really like these what my expectations are." And I could have probably earlier went ahead and just said, asked the question about expectations, and I didn't. So I don't know if that's the problem. I don't know if that was the thing, or I don't know what it was. And then taking at face value what he said, it could have been it, but like I said, I just feel like it was an interesting choice of words. So I didn't even push it. I didn't push the issue. I was just like, okay, thank you again. He was like, "You're welcome." And that was the end of it. But what I can say is that I'm really grateful for the experience. It really has seemed like since I made the definitive choice to get back out there and start dating, that each one of my dating experiences has been better, like by leaps and bounds. And it's just boiling down to being misaligned, which is something I can appreciate. And what I'm learning about myself is that I'll be okay. If things don't work out, I will be okay. And dating has been so much better since I have not been desperate to be chosen, and so much better since I stopped viewing marriage as some badge of worthiness. Like, it's just so much more freeing and better. Like, I'm not in a rush to make something happen. I'm not thinking that every guy I go on a date with has to be the one. It is just so much better. And I don't know, I just really appreciate this experience. And I think I'm gonna have respect. I will have respect. He's, like I said, high integrity, great character. But I think I have that much more respect for him for just saying it, like just coming out and saying it, even though it do seem like he was trying to ghost me for a little bit before. But the fact that he just came out and said it, I think I can appreciate that. And I won't say it was an unfavorable conversation. Like, it was just not a fit. And in the past, I probably would have chased him to make it be a fit, to go back to try to prove my worth. Like, no, I am the one. I can be the one. But it's like, no, you got to stop praying to God and asking God for certain things. And then after you say your prayer, you go out in the world and do life and come into alignment with everything but what you asked for. Like, you just gotta stop, girl. You just gotta stop. And so that's where I'm at with it. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Now, I won't say I was completely unfazed because I liked him. And another thing that I liked about him was that he was a lot like myself too. It was like, okay, I see what you need here, because it was like being able to show up for myself in a way, because we were so much alike, I believe, in certain ways. And I like that. So, yeah, I'm thankful for the experience. I am not taking a long pause in between the next person I date like I would have in the past, because the work that I have done over this past year, since the last nightmare that I was in, I can see how it's been paying off. And I can come out of that healing phase, and I can trust myself more, and I can steward myself better than I have in the past. And I'm taking everything that I learned with me. And that's another thing. Speaking of learning, speaking of taking things with you, I wish that more men would speak up about what they dislike in relationships and not feel like, and this is another topic for another day, but I'm just going to say it real quick right now. Speak on the things that you don't like. A relationship is not just about a woman. You in it too, which is another thing that I appreciate about this guy. He was like, no, this ain't it for me. Let me know and move on accordingly. And I like that. I like that. Yeah. And I just wish more men could do it. You will find it. And if you don't, and I'm talking to men and women now, you will find what you're looking for. And if you don't, being single is not like a death sentence. It's not. It's not. It's, you can enjoy being single as well as you can enjoy building a life with somebody that you are aligned with. So yeah. I was going to talk about what my next 100 days is going to look like in my first video back, but this is what I felt more comfortable talking about. So yeah, we'll do that another time. But if you're new here, my name is Latrice. Here's where I think out loud, reflect honestly, name patterns that keep us stuck. If anything here on my channel resonates with you, please feel free to take what you need. And if it doesn't, please feel free to leave it, because what may apply to me may not apply or work for you. And also, with that being said, if you would like to go on this journey with me over the next 100 days, subscribe, hit the like button, all the things, and I'll be back in the next video.